Morning guys, today I just wanted to give an update on my current tattoo progress. This is now my second week back at it. We did 2 weeks in a row because we were off for a little while. I wanted to catch up and my tattoo artist wasn't making a ton of money, obviously, during our second shutdown. So we decided to go a little hard at first to get through some of what we were doing late last year. As I said in the last one, we had about 2 sessions left to finish this arm. And last time we did this one here, and as you can see, it's healed up now and it looks very, very crisp and very, very dark. I think it came out even darker just because of the contrast than this side, because there's more black around there, so it shows a little less, but still super crisp. Yeah, that's healed now. So that's what black on black looks like again, for some more clarity. Yeah, the more negative space, obviously, the more contrast. So yeah, we did 2 back-to-back weeks of tattoo work. So we finished up this inner bicep last time. So that's nice and dark now, nice and rich, well healed. And then this time we did the lower forearm. So you can see it's a little undulated, but super, super rich, dark now. And yeah, so this arm is super black now. And I think that'll do it for a while. And you probably caught a little bit of it there. We also did more to this rose. So now that it's looking a lot more out there now, a lot more detailed. Just the dot shading we did, and we brought into the border of it to make it stand a lot more. Now, this is the most ambitious project we've done yet, black on black or white on black. So we have the moon. Still, this is about 2 months now. So as I say, we're getting more and more ambitious with this stuff. And it'll be interesting to see how this heals. But given how dark this is after it healed, I'm not really that worried about it. Honestly, my hands are about as light as anywhere on my body. And if we can do this on my hands, it's going to be maybe a little less there on my stomach, but we'll be able to do something similar with my whole third torso. So this I love. This is my favorite hand tattoo I've ever had, as strange as that is to say, because I've had many. I've had many different hand tattoos and cover-ups of hand tattoos. This is easily my favorite. Because it was done with dots, there was very little trauma. And we used a pointillism shading style. So what happens is, near the center, the dots are really, really dark. And as it moves out, they get really, really light. And this way you can simulate shading. And this is how we're going to use lines and dots to shade other things on my torso. Because obviously, being solidly black tattooed, you can't use gray shading or black wash shading. But you can get shading other ways. We're going to use different line depths and lengths and widths to create texture in, as I talked about, the tentacles that we're planning on doing on my torso again. And we're going to use some dot shading to bring even more life to them. But before we get to that, immediately in the next few weeks, either 2 or 3 weeks from now, depending on where we're at then, we're going to be adding in all those black on black filigrees I've talked about. Now, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to go yet. We're going to figure it out that day, kind of line it up and see what we want to do. It's probably going to take about an hour to just figure that part out. We have a loose idea, but things always end up working a little bit different than you think. So these filigrees are going to spiral upward along my jawline to the throat area here, maybe just below here, come into the clavicles. And we're going to have them come together in some kind of a way that forms sort of a central piece at the middle of the throat here. So I'm looking forward to getting those filigrees done. I've been looking forward to those for a long time. I wanted to do these hands first, as I think I've said it in an earlier video, because not only did I want to see if this was even possible, but I also wanted to put this stuff somewhere that wasn't connected to like the broad, like bigger parts, like the key real estate parts of me, so that like if these didn't work out, oh, I need to black my hands out again anyway this year. I need to do both sets of fingers again, because they're the right hand especially needs quite a bit of love. So I wanted to do something that I knew I would be working on again anyway, and I could easily black over if they didn't work out. So it was really risk-free for me. Yeah, so that worked out great. I'm really happy with that last appointment. And it put a spotlight on to me just how much different regular tattooing is from blackout tattooing. I've said before that I think you should get blackout tattoos like as a finishing thing or like a second suit. Because as I have mentioned before, blackout tattoos I find quite a bit more traumatic. For example, my hand was way less sore at the end than my wrist and forearm, and way less swollen too. A regular tattoo session, you have breaks, lots of little breaks where needle groupings are changing. The whole area isn't saturated, so there's a lot more room to breathe in between. And you just end up with a lot less damage and a lot less pain to get the details. We spent longer doing this than we did doing this whole stretch of the arm, and there was almost no pain for this. So it's been a long time since I've had a regular tattoo session, and that was similar to a regular tattoo session, and we just like lined and shaded things. So that kind of gave me like an excitement of, oh, it's going to be interesting to experience like normal tattoos again in a way, because I've been doing just solid saturation for so long. I've almost forgotten how they feel, and they don't feel that bad. Like I had gotten used to blackout tattoos and really in the rhythm of the mag and the feel of the mag on me. I really understand that pain, where I'm not really, I don't really remember what it's like almost to get a regular tattoo style or just something lined and shaded. So when we get into doing the tentacles and the filigrees and eventually I'm going to do some bicep pieces, I already know what's going on my biceps. I figured out already too, because it's just like being a tattoo virgin again. I have all of these crazy ideas now, and I'm just going to make sure that I get them right this time, in a way, like get them to what I want to live with for life as an aesthetic, as opposed to last time where I did things that I may have wanted when I was younger and just pursued as when I had the money to when I was older, kind of thing. This time I'm going to make sure that it's stuff that I like and have always liked, kind of thing, so that it will make sense forever for me to wear them. Again, not to say I hated the old stuff, but I get a new lease on this third suit. So the more I do, the more I'm thinking of ideas for some other key areas. But I want to save the biceps because I do love the black arms. I want to save the biceps after I get the clavicle and throat and torso work done. So those will probably they'll probably happen sometime this year, but probably closer to the end or middle of the year, as I think the tentacles are going to take quite a while to get to where I'm done with them. Because if we can get shading like this here, I'd like to put that in the tentacles too, and really create something very, very interesting that, like, I thought at first it would be quite subtle, but now this you can see across the room very easily. So if we can do this on a hand, if this stays like this, and I've got a good shot at keeping it similar to this with how bold we went, if we can do this on the hand, oh my God, you're going to be able to see, you will be able to see the black on black from across the room. I thought you'd have to be real close up on me to really notice it, but I'm starting to get really confident in, I think my artist, Rick, is learning as he goes and getting more proficient at saturating this way as he goes. And so I'm really curious as to what's possible. Yeah, so that's really exciting. In terms of pain, I will get into, because I don't talk a lot about tattoo pain session per session anymore. I used to talk a lot about that in my vlogs. The wrist is always a funny one because it tends to swell up. You don't have as much movement in your hand when you get it solidly saturated. And that is very normal. I said last week, this whole area was very swollen, and I said the next video you see, it won't be swollen anymore. Swelling with blackouts is very, very common. I expect this will swell as well. By tomorrow, it'll probably be very, very thick as I'm going to work tomorrow. Or, sorry, tonight. So, yeah, if I were to do a video tomorrow, it would be quite swollen, but there's no real pain. Pain isn't that common to have for days. But swelling is. Swelling is almost in a way your body is protecting or trying to heal the area, but it feels it's under attack, so water is rushing to the area kind of thing. It's like if you look wrist to wrist, forearm to forearm, this one is a lot bigger today. But by this time, 2 days from now, there will be no more swelling, and probably the peeling will start too. Hands tend to peel slower than other parts of the body because the skin is much drier. So where with a typical blackout, I seem to peel 3 to 4 days, sometimes as long as 5 days in. A hand tattoo will tend to take 3 or 4 days longer before it starts to peel, and it can be even up to 2 weeks before it's fully peeled. When you get your fingers blacked out, some areas, the really creasy spots, you can still be peeling 2 weeks later. And that's why it's really hard to tell what's hiding under a hand tattoo. It's really always like opening a Kinder Surprise egg or unwrapping a Christmas gift with a hand tattoo. You're looking at it the whole while it's healing, and you're like, I wonder what it's going to look like. I wonder what it's going to look like. I've had it both ways. I've had where it looked solid, and then when it peeled, it lost a lot. I've had that happen a few times. And I've had other times where I was suspicious the whole way. I was like, oh man, look, is it going to be good? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be good? And then when it peeled, it was way better than I thought it would be. In fact, one time I even had infection in my hand. And when the infection healed up, I still had a darker tattoo than beforehand, even after a very bad infection. So hand tattoos are a little bit different. They're hard to judge. I find that with feet tattoos too. Feet are also quite dry, and they sweat a lot too. So you lose a lot of the ink in the sweating, and then the skin doesn't really like to take the ink because they're quite dry generally. So yeah, some places of the body peel differently than others, obviously. It's a little bit of a rant on that. But yeah, so I believe the filigrees will take 1 session to line, and then, because that's how we've been doing it, we've been lining these, and then we've been filling them a couple weeks later when the lines are healed. It's just black on black is a little tricky to saturate, and when you're going over work that's been done time and time again, you run a line over it and it welts up pretty good. So what we've been doing is lining them and then filling them like 3 or 4 weeks later. So we'll probably line it all out one day, and then we'll probably fill it all in another day. And so it'll be 2 sessions for this complete filigree mantle that I'll be doing. On the week in between lining and filling, we're going to have another go at the eye. Now the eye is going to change a lot this year. It's going to, as I said in an earlier video where I talked about the meaning of the eye, it's going to stay, but it's going to be made more relevant. I'm not going to reveal exactly what's being done to the eye, but the eye is going through a huge makeover. I will say that the negative space inside of the teeth and surrounding the eyeball itself is going. It's going to be blacked out, and we're going to reshape the eye, which is something I've wanted to do for years because I want it to be more monstrous. But doing that is really, really tricky. We're going to have to really have a plan for how we're going to do it. And I'm pretty sure Rick already knows what he wants to do. I just have, I have an idea of what I would like it to look like, and then it's on him to see if he can create that. But yeah, the eye is going to stay, but it's going through a crazy makeover. and it's probably going to look a lot more evil when we're done. That will be one session. I'm expecting that to be a fairly long session, and a painful session too, because though those areas look like they're pretty soft in some places, like around the teeth and stuff, all of those areas are incredibly scarred. We've lined those teeth, I think, 5 times, trying to get a harder, darker outline on them. But because of how they were done and the colors that were used in them, it's really hard to get a harder line on those. So what I'm hoping is when we black out the white around the eye and the drop shadow that was put in originally, the eyes will naturally pop off of that black that's around them, and it will simulate a bordered look. So look forward to seeing a much darker, much more evil version of the eye soon. I'll be showing that off obviously right away. And that's one of the most interesting projects I've got this year. I think the eye has to stay relevant, and the only way I can do that is by bringing it up to speed. I still don't like the way it is today. Like, I've done so much to it, but it's still not where I'd like it to be. So more modifications to it have to be made, and I look forward to showing it off. I think people are going to be really excited to see that it's not gone, but it is different, and it's more suiting to where I'm at now, as it's always been an iconic symbol for my Instagram and to some extent my YouTube. So it's really important to me to keep that piece relevant with where I'm taking the bodysuit in the future. Anyway, I hope this hasn't been too long. Once again, I'll just show that real clear. That's the fully realized rose tattoo. And I'll be very interested to show this off when it's healed next week. Okay, so you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.